What is going on, everybody, and welcome to Unsportsmanlike Conduct. And I'm super excited about this episode because I have my friend Jimmy hopping on. He's a Chicago fan. He lives near Chicago. So we're talking Bulls, we're talking Bears a little bit, and Russell Wilson and the NFL, and a little bit from the Super Bowl. And we are going to come up with a list of our NBA All-Star Party team. Yes, it'll be fun. So let's just get to my friend Jimmy, and I hope you guys enjoy this conversation. So without further ado, let's talk to Jimmy. All right, and now I'm welcoming in my friend Jimmy Wienckowski, Chicago sports fan. Jimmy, how are you?
I'm good, man. What's going on?
Oh, not much is going on. I'm just excited to have you back. Last time it was a podcast. This time we need to see your sexy face. So how you doing?
Well, I finally get to see your freshly shaved beard. You got some good lines going on too.
Thank you. A little, it's like a 3-day scruff going on the outside of the beard.
Yeah,
but it's
you
good.
Sneeze a beard. For me, it takes weeks. It's not good.
That's true. But you're looking good. It's lined up, Jimmy. You're looking fresh, and the haircut too is on point. I like it.
I try.
Yeah. All right. Well, I haven't talked to you in a while, so let's just start with the NFL. Obviously, the Super Bowl happened. Tom Brady happened. DraftKings happened on you also.
Oh, God.
Why don't you tell us that story real quick?
So I don't actually know the total number of what it amounted to, but I was at my girlfriend's for the Super Bowl, and we were just kind of keeping it very casual. It's just her and I, and she and I both like to cook, so she was like firing up the Traeger, making all sorts of crazy stuff, right? Well, trying to log out of DraftKings, making all sorts of prop bets like right before coin toss.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going, it's giving me the error. It's going, give me the error. So all of a sudden I look when it finally goes through, and I've got it's $5 bets on heads or tails, $5 bets on national anthem, $5 bets on if the winner of the coin toss would also win the game, right? So I'm thinking, shit, I'm just going to miss a couple of these, whatever. Turns out I look finally, and I've got like 20 of each. So I'm down like off the coin toss, which I missed on all of them. I was down like several $100s in the rest of the game. I was furious and didn't even want to bet. So my DraftKings experience was not great for the Super Bowl, if I'm honest.
Damn. Well, that's funny. You texted me included in the group chat, and you told us this like 5 minutes before the coin toss. So I got nervous, and I was
fired up, man.
I was hoping that it would be for you. You had heads, right? No, you had tails because tails never fails. I don't even know what I had.
My girlfriend's got a video of it on her phone that I'm terrified if she puts it on the internet, it's going to go viral with the story. So I don't remember what it is. I don't need to relive that and go through that all over again.
That's funny. Well, also, congrats. I like hearing the sound of girlfriend.
Yeah, that's a new thing going on. She's
speaking of
cool. So.
Speaking of girlfriend, my girlfriend said she'd be disappointed if you didn't have a scarf on. But it's kind of
there's one hanging right by the door.
Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Well, what did you think of the game? Tell me your thoughts on the game.
I mean, overall, I thought the game was good. It wasn't as competitive as I think anybody thought it would be.
Yeah.
Going in, we were all saying, it's going to be a 40-40 something in the fourth quarter. It's going to be a shootout, or Mahomes is going to throw for 400 or 500 yards, and none of it happened.
Yeah.
So I guess it was probably a good game in a vacuum, but given all the hype leading into it, I don't know that it ever really met what we all expected Brady versus Mahomes to be.
For sure. I think also I maybe underestimated that Bucs defense, but I'm like caught between that we underestimate the Bucs defense or that we undervalue what an offensive lineman can do for a team, because Mahomes having his offensive line banged up, he ran, I think you saw the stat. He ran for like 500 yards, which is back in the backfield, just getting away from the defense, which is more than the Cincinnati Bengals leading rusher this season, by the way. So that tells you a lot.
Well, and he was banged up too. I mean, he had turf toe for it, so that was probably not the best decision for him, is to rely on his legs. But I think at this point, talking about gambling even before that, I've just learned to stop betting against Brady. And so I bet on the Bucs before. So I was happy to have him win. Because no matter what, I think at the end of the day, Brady's got a arsenal around him offensively. I mean, even AB scored, which I don't think really a lot of people expected. So he had a ton of things go right for him being in Tampa, but I mean, he had that much influence to do it too.
Yeah. That's the thing, I think.
Well-rounded. Tampa's just such a better, well-rounded team. You're right. Defense does help.
At this point, which I feel like we'll shift to the NBA in a second, but I feel like it's maybe comparable to LeBron in his later years, that the thing with Brady that he brings is that leadership. Because at this point, his stats is, sure, he's great, but sometimes he'll throw some balls that are like overthrown on the long passes and everything. I don't think he's definitely not in his physical prime, but he has this leadership ability that makes guys act up. I mean, think about Antonio Brown. The dude couldn't stay on the team, a couple of years ago, and he went to the Bucks this time, and you didn't hear a peep out of him, really. Nothing, no social media, anything. All these guys that Leonard Fournette, for whatever reason, obviously the Jags did their own thing, but got cut by the Jags.
Was on that team.
Exactly. So all these dudes that come in because of Brady and just act up because they're like, they believe they can win it. So they're like, I can't screw it. I can't be the guy that screws it up, So right. Antonio Brown couldn't be doing some stupid social media post the first round of the playoffs, and then they lose, and then he gets blamed for it. So I think with those expectations of greatness comes almost that added responsibility for all these guys. And that's maybe now into his mid-40s, Brady's greatest asset.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of that too is probably instilled in New England, right? When you talk about AB, I mean, ironically enough, he was probably one of the reasons he left New England.
Yeah.
And Brady does come in, but I think he holds himself to that standard too. I mean, the very little I ever want to read about the TB12 method, it's hyper disciplined. So, I mean, even if he just brings that to his training regimen or his off-field workouts, then people are naturally going to pick up on it, even if just by accident.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's the GOAT, man. And he's the GOAT. The only knock on him.
No doubt about it.
The only knock on him is that at times he might make out with his kids. A little awkward.
I mean, it's still the weirdest gift just floating around.
You know what?
It really is.
I'm going to put that video up for people that haven't seen it. So I'm playing that right now. They're going to see that right now.
In a documentary called Tom versus Time, there's a scene showing 5-time Super Bowl winner Tom Brady getting a massage. Then his 11-year-old son comes in the room and asks him if he can check his fantasy football standings.
I was wondering if I could check my fantasy team.
What do I get? I already know, Jack. Everything comes at a cost, bud. That was like a peck.
The second kiss shared by father and son prompted tweets from viewers using words like very disturbing and uncomfortably long.
All right, well, that's the only knock on Brady. What do you, I mean, that's not my thing. I don't know what's going on there.
Weird.
I was
the whole thing is just so
when he hugged his kid at the end of the game, I was cringing a little, just in fear of what I might see, but it was cool. It was all cool. And actually, real quick, in the championship game in Green Bay, his kids were handling the trophy, and I did not like that. I was like, they might drop this thing. And I know it's Brady.
They haven't done worse to that thing. He threw it from a boat the other day.
Oh, that's true, though. That too. Like, oh my God. Like, he's the GOAT in celebration. Did you see him walking? He could barely walk. It was awesome.
I know. He was smoked.
And that tweet, you saw the tweet where he was like avocado tequila or something.
I mean, he leaned into it, so good for him for at least being, aware, I suppose.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I love Brady. Do you think there's a chance they repeat? How good do you think their chances are?
I don't know. Repeating is so hard in the NFL to begin with. I mean, look at what would have possibly happened with
Mahomes.
Mahomes, yeah.
Mahomes, yeah.
And so even with Kansas City, like they couldn't do it. And I think that was one of the more high-powered teams we've seen in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I think it's just so hard to do to keep a team together for football in the first place, especially like when you've got players demanding trades and things like that. I mean, it's difficult to do from a personnel aspect, much less grind out another season and a quarter, which the playoffs really end up being.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. But if anybody's going to do it, it's Brady and the Bucks, that's for sure. And I think he's happy there. Yeah, the Bucks had something came out from the Bucks that said that they would happily sign him to an extension for as long as he wants or whatever, which I was like, all right, like, let's calm down here. Like, sure, he's the GOAT, but I'm like, I wouldn't
like. He's 1 hit away from not being, I mean, he's 1 hit away from being not the GOAT. I mean,
tough.
Football, you've got such a risk.
Dude, would you give him a 5-year deal?
I would give him a 2-year. Well, he's on a 2-year, $50 million, $25 a year.
He's got a year left. Yeah.
Repeat it again.
That's what I'm saying. Repeat it again. But it's tough, man, with Brady because, I mean, Belichick, technically, if you look at the numbers and everything, wasn't wrong in thinking, all right, his career is pretty much over. Like, he is defeating the odds every single season still. So, I mean, but hey, he's doing it. So, all right. Well, another quick thing. J.J. Watt announced today that he's a Cardinal guy.
The Cardinals, of all places, I don't think I even would have put them on the board of top 5 he was going to go to.
Yeah, I think it has to do probably with DeAndre Hopkins. They were teammates.
He must love it there.
He must love it there, recruiting him there. I mean, the Cardinals are like middle of the pack kind of team, but you think someone like J.J. Watt wants a Super Bowl, and I mean, who knows? That division isn't as good as it used to be though, because the Rams are kind of all their chips are in right now for the Rams. They're the only team in that. But after the season, you know, the Rams aren't going to be able to keep paying all these guys that they got on that team. They pretty much gave up draft picks.
Eventually you're going to have Kyler Murray's contract to come up, and you're going to have to pay him. You're going to have to, pay him everything.
Right. Seattle's going through the whole Russell Wilson, which I don't think he's getting traded. I know you're getting maybe a little excited with the Bear stuff, but it's
purgatory.
Yeah. Well, regardless, I'm just saying, if you're the Seahawks, this is something that I feel like has to brew for a year. You know, like it's not something.
There were reports coming out of him walking out of team meetings and stuff like that. And I'm getting mad at Pete Carroll and the ownership group and stuff like that. So I think it has been brewing. And I mean, if he can get out, good for him. I mean, that's not a good situation.
Yeah, I guess it depends how the season starts. If they start 3-0 and balling, I think things go back to, or I don't know, but I just don't see him getting traded. Like a valuable asset like that doesn't just like, I mean, look at Deshaun Watson, you know, he still hasn't been traded yet. So if the Texans are putting if the Texans are putting up that much of a fight, not trading him, I think the Seahawks will definitely put a fight up in not trading Russell Wilson.
I think the Seahawks they're on their way of really becoming super subpar from what we expect them to be, right?
Yeah.
And I think that mixed with like the Texans is a totally different situation. The Texans, that's just a dumpster fire. They
don't even have a first round pick.
Right.
They're screwed. Yeah.
They gave away everything. And they not only gave away everything, they got nothing in return. Like
nothing. Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins got a 3rd round pick or something like that, wasn't it?
It was David Johnson, the running back, and a 2nd round pick. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
nothing. So a guy who literally, I mean, is still in his prime. So
yeah,
the player empowerment is a whole different thing. But if I'm either of those guys, Russell Wilson can probably fix that relationship. Even though I'd love for him to be up there. Deshaun Watson, I think that's unmendable.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Deshaun Watson thing, I mean, this is the tough part of player empowerment that I think at some point there's going to be pushback from the owners and the teams, because if Deshaun Watson is sitting there and says, I'm not playing, I'm holding out, and the team's going to be ass anyway, and they're like, all right, we'll save some money, hold out then, you know, and then that's when the pressure gets on Deshaun Watson, because, you know, he's on a like $40 million deal probably this season. So is he willing to watch $3 million every week just go to the garbage and him not collecting that paycheck? He doesn't even have to play great. I mean, he could put in half the effort and still be like average, but then I don't know. That's where it's like, how competitive really are these guys and stuff. But I wouldn't be surprised. The Texans would be the team, because that's literally your only asset is Deshaun Watson. You're not getting a 1st round pick this year, nothing. So if you're going to trade him, you're trading him for a lot.
A king's ransom. Yeah.
A king's ransom. Otherwise, I'm like, all right, well, don't play. We're going to be bad anyway. We'll use this as a development year, and we won't have to pay you the $40 million if you decide to sit out. So it's a matter of who has the leverage. And as much as Deshaun Watson is the player and the athlete, like he's got the leverage, but he also will have the leverage if he risks a year of salary and a year of his prime career, you know, like putting up numbers, statistics, all this. If these guys want to make the Hall of Fame, touchdown passes, all those things matter. So I don't know how that situation will play out, but we'll see. But we'll switch gears and talk about the NBA. Obviously, we'll stay with the Chicago topic since you're a Bears fan and, you know, you're a Bulls fan. And I'm not going to lie, I am kind of jumping on the Bulls bandwagon. I really like what Billy Donovan's doing with the team. They're young. Yeah. They're kind of all over the place a little bit, but they're fun, dude. I love watching Bulls games.
They are. I mean, it's like watching the Baby Bulls all over again, right? When we had those fun years, and it's just we have a lot of weird pieces, right? And could you imagine if we had Donovan or a halfway competent coach 2 or 3 years ago when we kind of had like a really young core? I mean, we still do, but 2-3 years of development are kind of down the drain with the garbage carousel we had. But they're fun to watch, man. I mean, Levine's an all-star now. That's great. You know, Markkanen, when he comes back, is going to make a positive impact on something that's already being built that looks kind of good and kind of sustainable. I think we've got some good players. Kobe White's really fun to watch. Actually, it's really fun to watch.
And the games I've watched lately, like I feel like I watched the whole Philly game the other day. Wendell Carter Jr. played great, and then I watched the next game, and he's playing pretty good. He had like 16 points. Like he's not that bad. So I'm like, damn, like they have a little squad here going on. And what's the kid, Archie Adakino, whatever? What's his name?
I don't know how to say his last name, but it's literally, I mean, we look like we've got something kind of brewing and like a couple guys that are ready to take a step. Like Levine is definitely taking a step up this year. Like if we get that out of like, if Kobe White, like the second half of the All-Star, after post All-Star, is just like rock solid like he was the second half of last year, I mean, that could be something like we could be sneaky in the playoffs, even like a 5 or 6 seed even. I mean, it looks like we could be something in that.
I agree, especially because the Knicks are the 4 seed right now.
Which is crazy.
And that's another team. I'm not going to lie. I love the Knicks. They are playing great, like because I love Thibodeau. People don't like him because
how do you not? Tibbs with Rose is fun to watch, right?
This is why you don't like Thibodeau, because yesterday the Knicks are on a back-to-back. They're playing the Pistons. They're up by 30 points with like 3 minutes left. And Julius Randle's in his 41st minute still playing. That's why people don't like Thibodeau. But I like it. That's your job. I don't care how many points you're up by. You're playing basketball. And he's helping his statistics. Let's see it that way. But
say it. I mean, like Tibbs would have been like the greatest college coach of all time for like development or something like that. I mean, he's really good at just whipping teams into shape and like making them disciplined. I mean, Jimmy Buckets always loved him, and look at Jimmy's like the most disciplined player in the NBA. Like, that's not coincidence,
And I mean, they're like a top team defensively, and that's what I love about them. If you play defense, you'll have a chance, and they're doing that. We're gonna do a little fun game later. We're gonna pick our starting 5 all-stars for all-star party NBAers. I don't know how to word it.
God. Okay.
But I was gonna say in the future one of these, we'll do the all-star superhero/villain, and Thibodeau will be our Joker.
Oh yeah,
I think
I don't know if he's I think he's a good guy.
Not the Joker. What's the guy in the movie with Jim Carrey, the Batman movie?
The Riddler.
But the bad guy in that movie.
Yeah, he's the Riddler.
No, there's a guy with like a suit, like a black suit.
The Penguin?
Yes. That's who Thibodeau. Like that's who Thibodeau is. That's who he is. The Penguin guy. So
Oswald Cobblepot for you nerds out there.
Wow. I mean, I don't even know what that means, but there you go. But no, the Bulls, like I said, I like how they're playing. They're looking pretty solid.
They look fun. It's fun to be a Bulls fan again. It's not like total misery. I mean, that's the most fun part so far.
Yeah, I wish obviously when fans come back, but even the UC, like I feel like it'd be packed. People would have something to cheer about. There's excitement. So and Garpax, that was also kind of a problem for a while there.
Right, and we're paying for the sins of that. But look at what it could have been, and like we've got good pieces. We're making it look like it's going to be functionable. And
so let's just see if we can get some guys like start squeezing some good out of some guys. Right. And so if you're the Bulls GM, which 3 guys are your core right now? I want to know. I want to see if we agree on this or not.
Levine, White.
We are in agreement there. Levine for sure, Kobe White for sure.
I want to say Markkanen. I don't think so. I think he's on the market. I think we would get rid of him if the money was right. I don't know. I don't know that we're committed to anybody but those 2, if I'm honest.
So this is where I agree with you, because I think Markkanen is the shoe-in, but I'm not high on the dude's always hurt, I feel like.
Yeah, and he's 2 weeks away from being healthy after being out for the last 4 or 6 or whatever.
So I value Wendell Carter Jr. higher than Markkanen, and he's been in the league for less than Lauri Markkanen, so he's cheaper for another season or two. So when Markkanen comes back, I'm letting him play one game, 20 minutes, and I'm trying to trade that for some assets. Because I think this team, like you said, they could use this momentum. And if they could replace Markkanen, I mean, they have Otto Porter Jr., but if they can replace Markkanen with another solid veteran that, like, let's say a Thaddeus Young or something like that, someone who just is a veteran presence that could help them just sneak and get into the playoffs as a 6th seed or, 5th seed, avoid the play-in tournament. I think they use that momentum. Those young guys go, and then they get a draft pick coming up in the draft. So I just feel like that asset of Markkanen, I'd trade now because you guys didn't give him the extension, and you're going to lose him for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, unless
I wouldn't pay
I don't think we're not going to be the highest bidder on him.
That's my point.
Half of it. Like, so you're right. I mean, you might as well move him for something. I guess I kind of take it back because I'm thinking now Patrick Williams is probably our third one.
How did I forget about Patrick Williams?
It's that regime's first round draft pick. So
for sure. And
he's kind of married
good
to that. Just as a look what we did.
Right.
We are much better than the last guy.
Well, and he's good. I've like what he's shown this season.
Fine. Yeah.
When the pick came in, I know you guys in the text thread were all a little surprised, but he's played pretty well. I like what I'm seeing out of him. It just looks like
having our first round draft pick not be a starter in college was kind of the thing that rubbed us the wrong way. But
that makes sense.
It looks like they were right. So I'm happy for it.
It makes sense. Well, yeah. Well, all right. Well, All-Star break's coming up this next weekend. So this is when we'll get to the fun part. So you have 5 current former NBA guys, okay, to be your all-star starters for the party team. They're just like the most party hard of partiers you could think of. You want a crew of 5 that will have a great party. Okay. So I wrote down my 5, and I have an honorable mention. So I think we're going to agree on my first one because I think you can't have a party without Dennis Rodman in it.
He's the captain of the team. He's the guy that's going to pick you up when you're down. If you're at a bum party, he's going to find a way for it to go from like a 3.5 to a 12.
That's your guy.
He's going to dial it up just by being there. I mean, he's the GOAT of NBA parties. No doubt. I don't think anyone should ever even think it was.
Agreed. He's got the connections. He can hit up, what's her name, Carmen Electra, and hit up all the friends and the famous people. He's got Jordan is his boy. He'd be like, yo, Mike, can you put me in touch? Put me in touch with
that new yacht in with a cigar room on top or whatever it is. Yeah,
so he's got all the connections you need. He's the guy that's gonna get you the table in the club, let's say. He's the he's the guy that sets it up. That's Rodman.
Okay. So no, we're absolutely in agreement. He is number 1 and he's got the C on the chest for me.
Yeah. Number 2, this might get me some flack, is Lamar Odom.
Ooh.
Just because you need that friend that goes a little too far at the party.
Do you, though? At the NBA, it's such high stakes. I mean, then I feel like we're mocking his, addiction issues, which that sucks. I mean, I get it. Maybe he shouldn't be partying, but I'm sure there was a stretch where maybe he balanced life and that.
Because I feel
he was a
like
sustainable NBA player. So
that's what I'm saying. I feel like he partied a lot, but then it's just one party. He went a little too far, obviously. And, and we're not making fun of that. I'm just saying, I don't think that happens to someone that's never partied before.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess. I mean, my number 2 is much, much different. And it's much older than that, too.
Who's your number 2? Yeah, mine aren't as old. Who's your number
2 is Wilt Chamberlain.
Wow, Wilt.
I mean, Wilt, because you've got to think, he has claimed to slept with 20,000 women in his life. So there's no way that guy could – he doesn't casually meet them. Like, where do you meet women in that time frame? It's not, there's no social media, there's no internet.
Right.
That guy's out of clubs. He's partying.
He's got to be partying.
3 or 4 women in the evening. I mean, that's your guy. He knows a place. And let's just say he has allegedly had sex with 20,000 women. Like, he's got to be a good wingman, right?
He has to. I mean, he'd be a great wingman even when he's not trying to be a wingman.
Right. I mean, he sits out of the club. He's over 7 feet tall. Like, naturally, people are gravitated towards him.
Dang. I did not know that about Will Chamberlain. I might have to rethink my list.
Oh, yeah.
Damn. All right. Well, number 3.
It's A View from Above. Read the book, A View from Above.
A View from Above. Okay. It's about him? It's him?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It talks about his whole thing.
Wow. All right. Number 3 for me is Ron Artest.
Yeah, he probably partied.
And because I think when you need that friend, that if shit goes down, you know, he's going to just beat somebody up. And
okay, so we agree that number 3 should be our wild card guy, right? Like, that's the guy, right?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I think 3 is the friend that's like, you know, you don't want your group to be seen as some wussies. And Ron Artest is the guy that's going to scare some people off and be like,
okay,
oh,
so he's
shit,
like the tough guy enforcer.
I feel like he's like the wide receiver that wears no gloves. You know, it's like just that guy that you're like, shit, he's like legit. Like,
okay,
you know, I don't know if that analogy makes sense, but
see, I went with my number 3. I went a similar direction, right?
Oh,
so
okay.
I went also kind of like, he probably is an enforcer. He's more of a bulldog, but he's a wild card. Like, if you ever watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where Charlie clips the brake lines and says wild card and hops out the back. That's J.R. Smith to me. Like, J.R., you don't know what he's going to do.
Good one.
He might just be sitting there in the corner, loving life, Instagramming things about the flat earth, or he might be like somehow in charge of the bar at the end of the night. You don't know what you're getting with that guy.
You're right. And JR also kind of can give you what Ron Artest can give you, because you saw him beat up that guy once, like outside his house in the parking lot.
JR, you good? Hey, JR, you good?
Yeah, so, you know, you're right. He's got some of that in him. He's like the don't fuck with that guy look, you know?
More importantly, he's also got that, he's got a very distinguishable look of like tough guy. And I think that's important.
I agree. Except my fear with JR that I don't feel with Ron Artest is JR might be so stoned before the party that he might forget that there's a party. Because he forgot that the Cavs were down by 1 or tied when he got that rebound. So that's my fear with J.R. Smith. He might be too high to even function.
That's a fair one. Okay. All right. So who do you have for 4 then?
All right. So number 4, it's just, I'm biased because I just love this guy. I love this man. And I just think like, he'd be like the father presence of the group, but also have a good time. And that's Charles Barkley, man.
It's my number 4 as well. I
agree. Charles Barkley. I just think, you know, he's always talking about drinking and cigars. So I feel like he's the one that just watches over you. You know, if you're like talking to some girl and he can sense something bad, he'll be like, no. And you just have to trust him. I just feel like he's got that father figure to him, but like not super responsible.
Magnetic presence he's got that presence that's like, that's the guy who I want to tell me a story while I'm drinking, right?
Yes.
It's like a guy who you're like, oh yeah, man, what did you guys do like to Angola after that team? Like you just beat the hell out of them in the Olympics. And you know, like everyone is going to be there from the age of like 8 to like 88. It's all going to be hovered around Sir Charles.
Right. Charles is the man. And the bonus with Charles that I thought about is, what do us drunk people when we're wasted usually like to do or consume? And that's some food, you know? And Charles
is going to eat with us.
Is going to eat.
With us. You're right.
And he might even buy because he's going to be so happy that we're going to a restaurant or a food place, like food truck, whatever. Charles is just the man. I love Charles Barkley. So he's my number 4. And number 5, this is where I was going back and forth between these two, but I didn't want to be mean. So, I mean, I'll tell you who the other one was, but I went the safe route without being mean. And I picked Shaq because
he's doing the DJ thing these days.
Yes,
too.
That's exactly my point. Because in case the DJ gets sick or has diarrhea and has to leave, Shaq comes in, takes over as DJ, and now your whole group is also like the fucking best thing in the world. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, this table, you know, they got the DJ, Shaq Diesel, and the party still keeps going with Shaq. Or if there's an after party, he can do the DJing at the mansion or whatever.
or like get you into a club and he'll all of a sudden like you're backstage and he's about to go on or something crazy. Like
Right.
that's something Shaq could pull off. Plus, Shaq has infinity money. Like he has multiple hundreds of millions of dollars. Where like, that guy's just gonna, whatever you do, you go out with him is gonna be 10 times nicer than what you and I would do. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Shaq. I mean, Shaq is gonna party like an animal. I mean, he's just gonna he's crazy. He loves the nickname thing. I'm in on Shaq. That's a good number 4.
That's my 5. That's my 5. And you brought up the point of why I thought about this other man, which
the other one is you're going to say is Delonte West.
I did think of him, but no. Damn, that I had thought of Delonte West, but I didn't think he brought enough assets. And you'll understand what I mean by that because AI was my other guy, Allen Iverson.
He would be one of my honorable mentions as well.
Honorable mention, but not for a good reason. I love AI. He's a great player. But I need the guy that made a lot of money and now is not as rich. Because just like you said with Shaq, who has a buttload of money and will spend it, there's that friend that's going to spend that money. And that's where I was thinking, all right, AI probably had a lot of fun, and I don't know if, am I wrong to think, like, I feel like I've heard stories that he hasn't been good with saving his money.
No, but I think I read like this Reebok deal synopsis in Forbes or something like that. That's going to sound pretentious, but I didn't mean it like that. But it was like he does still have like a endorsement deal that runs until he's like 55 or 58, at which point Reebok at 55 or 58 pays him a final installment of like 30 or 40 million. So like,
he's fine. No, he's fine. Yeah. And obviously when you have that much money,
he's just like on a different echelon of like Shaq money, infinity money. Like
right.
He's on that lower end, but whatever.
Right. And so that's where with him, I just was thinking like, I maybe I'm just mistaken, but I feel like I heard AI talking about it, being like, yeah, when you're young and you're in the NBA, it's very easy to spend money. And next thing you know, like you pay the agent and you pay this and you buy the flashy car and you're kind of broke. So I'm just saying, I don't think he's like broke now. I'm just saying, I think he had that lesson in his life.
Sure.
So that's why I'm like, if we caught him at that time, he would have been the one that was like, just letting it fly.
Yeah. So in his prime party days.
Yeah. So,
okay.
I mean, that's
so my number 5 is the greatest. It's Michael, right? It's got to be MJ because it's a different type of party when Michael's around. So we talk about like Shaq money. We talk about, like how much do they have? That's not like MJ is a billionaire. I mean,
he's on another level.
Capital B. Like he doesn't play for the team anymore. He owns the team now. Like he is a billionaire. So like you're going to a party, you want partiers like out and about, just getting rowdy. Like that's your core 4. But there's got to be someone there that can like wrangle it in, and that's MJ because MJ can make doors open that you don't even know exist, right? Like his yacht alone is $250 million. The guy's rolling big. So wherever you're going, it's going to be the lap of luxury. So I'm looking at him like that's the guy who like puts on his evening tuxedo at the bachelor party or whatever. This
is the reason why I left Sir Michael Jordan off my list. I don't know if you've gone out with a group of really rich friends, but it's not the greatest because if Jordan's like, hey, let's all go gamble at the casino, and he goes to the high roller, now you're stuck. Now you're like, shit, I can't really afford the high roller table, but I also don't want to be that guy that's like, hey, Mike, like, like
but
we kind of.
If you're like real, I guess if you're partying with him, it's one thing, right? But if you're like legit friends, like, and you guys know each other, like, he's not gonna make you're not gonna lift a finger or pay a dime that week.
He's got your back.
If it's like you and I are actually like winning a lottery out of a hat, like gonna go party with these guys, we probably couldn't afford the valet.
And that's what I was gonna say. We can't even afford the ride or whatever clothes we have to wear for this thing. But that was my fear. I was like, I think he's just like true rich. So his level of like, this is what's fun for me. These other guys like Ron Artest probably can't afford, or like he's like, I'm gonna buy hey, you guys want to get a round of these cigars? It's only like, $17 million. And then Ron Artest is like, dude, that was my whole salary for my 4-year contract.
Right, right.
So I don't know. That was my only hesitation there, but pretty solid, dude. I like this. I like that
I think the list is pretty good.
We would have a great all-star party. This would be awesome.
All right, so you pick the topic next time. Give me a little more advance, and I'll think of some good ones.
All right, let's do this. Well, Jimmy, that'll wrap it up for this one because we can't go too long. But what this means is we just have to do more of this. So let's do this again.
Part two.
All right. Well, we will do that. Jimmy, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Anytime, brother. Love
All
it.
right.
See ya.
Talk to you soon. All right. Well, a huge thank you to my friend, Jimmy Wienckowski. That was a lot of fun. I think we put two brains together and came up with probably the best all-star party team that we could have come up with. Obviously, talked a little Bulls and talked Bears, talked the Super Bowl, which was also a lot of fun, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it too. Remember, if you're enjoying hearing me talk sports with my friends and sometimes by myself going through highlights, just subscribe and share and let me know what you guys think, because I'd love to keep this up and keep growing this, and hopefully eventually we can be broadcasting to a lot more people. So thanks again, and I'll be back later this week with another episode of Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Talk to y'all then.